Welcome back to Straight Facts on Friday. Sorry, it was my fault. We were a little bit late. We were talking backstage about a few bits and pieces coming up. So sorry that we're late going live. It was my fault completely. Big show for you today as Manchester City sue Arsenal, sue Chelsea, sue Man United, sue Liverpool. And in fact, they sue 16 other members of the Premier League. We're talking about Todd Bowley and the outrage surrounding the ticket issue at the club. I want to obviously get Don's opinion on that and some more from you all. Previewing the FA Cup weekend as well. And a big question about Arsenal. Is it right that they've got their Dubai escape? Some of the Gooners are very unhappy that they're being rewarded with a holiday at this point in the season. And I haven't changed the backdrop. There we go. That has been now done. But Lawless, Don, Staffy, how are you, gentlemen? You all well?
Cold, man.
Well now.
Cold. Freezing out here, I can't lie.
Yeah, man. I'm just getting over the flu, so I'm ready for the show now. Like I said, if it would have been a couple of days ago, mate, I would have been up for it.
I just remembered you ducked This Is London, innit? Yeah.
I ducked.
Bro.
We haven't even played you yet, by the way. So what was there to duck?
No, bro, you played. Who was it that you played before that?
You.
No, we had the preview coming up. We had a preview to do on Sunday.
Oh, you shitted, Dan. You shitted, bro.
We played Villa and we drew. So
you shitted.
Yeah.
That Lawless, you telling me you shitted, bro? East London boy. Skinhead nutter.
We drew away to Villa. What is there to duck and to shit it? Like, you know what I mean? Don's just trying it. Don's trying.
Well, Don, I want to applaud you. Well done for outing him, bro. These people that duck it when their team loses. Come on now, Lawless.
Yeah. Do you remember a certain Donald a couple of weeks ago, like who ducked it on this show? Yeah.
No way you just called him Donald, bro.
Donald.
Yeah.
Is that even his real name?
I don't know who that is.
Donald J. Trump over here, yeah. Ducking and diving.
I don't even think that's his real name.
You know what I mean?
You ducked out because D was about to chef you up, yeah, because he battered you. That was the first show that you lot were about to do after you lost to Palace, I swear. Was that the second?
No. I was there when we lost to Palace. I was there.
Oh, actually, he was.
In fairness, a little bit like Man United this year. West Ham lose so much. It's hard for us to not duck games where we lose because it's most weeks. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a difficult one. But loads to preview. Viewers, get the like button smash. Make sure you are subscribing if you haven't done so already. I did want to start with the breaking news that only came out about an hour ago that Manchester City are intensifying their legal dispute with the Premier League. And when it says Premier League, they are suing the other clubs. They are suing the members of that because the Premier League is the build-up of all the other football clubs over the newly amended associated party transactions, the ATP rules. They essentially say that they're still going along this line of they don't want to be controlled by the tyranny of the majority. They're stating they're still unlawful and they shouldn't be implemented. What I find really interesting is clubs that were backing City before that have shareholder loans are now becoming frustrated because when I read the article, it appears that City are not happy with how they're allowing clubs to restructure their shareholder loans. They feel that they should be applied differently. So suddenly you've had teams like Everton who were backing City to begin with are now with the Red Cartel as an example. Chelsea are also part of this on sort of the same side as Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United and co. But they're essentially challenging the rules that have been amended. They want, I'm paraphrasing here, but they essentially want to be able to have associated parties to their ownership, pump more and more money into the football club. What do we make of this? I'm going to go to Lawless first. What do you make of City again suing their fellow competitors?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be that they're really trying to, to threaten and to sort of intimidate slightly the other clubs is to sort of strong arm in terms, because I don't think they have necessarily a case to sue the other clubs for voting on, not having the third party, the associated party sponsorships. I don't think they have a case to actually sue us, but I think they're trying to maybe intimidate some of us into changing our voting to pull us round to their side of things. That seems to be what it is to me. Now, they have got a little bit of a case. Reading the article, they had a tribunal did rule that it was unlawful and illegal to put this ruling in to block the associated sponsorships. So they've got some sort of case there, but I don't think they have a case to sue us for voting on a rule. They can, complain about the rule. They can get the rule changed, push the rule, whatever. But that seems a bit mad to me, and that seems to be of their way. Like I said, intimidation tactics, and I don't know how I feel about this rule, because it does stop people obviously having their owners have these companies that they own and just go, right, we're going to spend. I do think the rule should be there. And if you want to pump the money in, you should do it. I hate all these little sideways, because not all of us are going to have that. Not all of us are going to have that option to have this mega money sponsor through our owners. Like David Southern, you're going to sponsor us through the Daily Star or whatever it is, that crappy. I mean, so yeah, it just seems to be Man United are just doing everything that Man City, are doing everything they can to try and get their way. And it's probably they're super lawyers, and they're delaying and stalling, and I don't think we're going to get sued. That's that, to boil it down to. I don't think the suing is going to happen.
I understand. I mean, look, there is going to be the legal action is in place. They are taking the Premier League back to court, which is essentially everybody voting against them. Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, and Newcastle are siding with Manchester City. I want to ask you, Lawless, about this. Is this about, in your opinion, is this about 4 clubs having owners with massive ambition versus 16 clubs who lack ambition? That is how many people online are sort of framing this situation.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I think it's clubs that have the overwhelming resources more than anyone else, that know that they can pump the money in and with no consequences. They've got no other, sort of interests and things like that. Say, for example, the Cronkies, who own other sports franchises, even though they're mega rich, that it's not just Arsenal that they're looking after. Like these clubs with owners who are basically rule countries and things like that, they've got unlimited money and they want to be able to pump their clubs to the top, and that seems to be what it is. It's very telling, the clubs that are in favor of it versus the rest, and the ones that are closest to maybe falling foul of the rules. Whereas the majority of the rest of us, we know the means that we're going to have to work in. Like West Ham, David Sullivan knows that he's never really going to be able to take advantage and compete in a environment where these rules are not in place. And I think that's the same for most clubs. We're just not going to be able to compete if they get rid of these rules, because we're never going to be able to pump the money in that they will. The wages that they'll be able to offer, the transfer fees, all of that. Who can compete if they remove these restrictions? So I think that is a large part of it. And the ambition thing makes it sound like, oh, we're just not ambitious. I think it is means more than that. Do you know what I mean? I think we'd all have ambition. We all want to win the league.
I agree. I agree. Listen, there will be some owners, and this is where I think it takes a grown-up conversation. There's going to be some owners that will be, oh, look, I'm not voting for this because I'm just not prepared to put my billions in. That will exist. There'll be others. I mean, the owner of Brentford, the owner of Brighton, they could be as ambitious as they want. They are poor, retrospectively speaking, compared to the owners of Newcastle, City, even compared to Man United and Chelsea's owners. They are poor in comparison. So, of course, they're not going to vote. Of course, they're not going to vote for the rules to allow not unlimited spending. But I get the feeling that if Newcastle's owners were honest, if City's owners were honest, they would love to be able to sponsor the grass £500 million a year, as an example. And I think that people are going to vote against that because I always feel it's about clubs vote for what their best interests are. Everton were on City's side until part of City's court case. They spoke about the shareholder loans and how they're wrong and they should be expelled. Now suddenly Everton have gone the other way because they had loads of shareholder loans. This isn't about red cartels and blue cartels. This isn't about ambition versus the unambitious as a general rule. This is about clubs voting for what they think is the best for them. And there'll also be some really rich people that will think, actually, I don't want the competition to go down to purely who has the most money. And there needs to be an element in there of balance. There are some owners that want the wage caps to come in, as an example, because they feel that it'll make it more competitive. So I think it's too basic to just say it's the ambitious versus the unambitious. But Staffy, what do you think this does to the Premier League in terms of, another member is City again taking legal action against its fellow members of the league? How detrimental do you think this could be for the Premier League?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't really. I wouldn't say formulated a strong opinion on this still, because obviously I was reading into it today, and I'm really trying to understand it a little bit more before I can pick a side. Like Lawless said, it's not just a bunch of ambitious clubs. A bunch of unambitious clubs versus City. Who'd you say was it again? City, Newcastle, and who's the third team?
Villa and Forest.
Oh, yeah. 4 teams. Sorry. Yeah. So when I'm looking at it like that, I haven't really made a strong opinion on it yet. I'm more trying to understand from the side of, first of all, how do City find it unlawful? And secondly, from my understanding, it's more about sponsorships and how much you're allowed to bring in from sponsorships. I'm trying to actually understand both sides and look at it City's side and say, why should there be basically a cap on how much I can bring in from sponsorships if obviously the sponsorships do make sense? Like, obviously, listen, we've spoken about this before. I don't have to explain that. Yeah, when you do bring in a sponsorship and say, hey, listen, by the way, Adidas, as an example, wants to pay me $100 million a year, obviously it has to be valid. It can't be some dodgy sponsorships.
I don't think the issue is how much. The issue in this whole thing is basically the premise saying there's a conflict of interest, because if you own a company, that company shouldn't be allowed to sponsor that club, is what they're saying. That's basically what it is. So I don't think it's how much. They're saying there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I think there's an element of truth to that. I think it's also around some of the accusations are these sponsors even real companies?
Exactly.
There are some of these companies out there that are sponsoring some Premier League clubs, some European clubs. They don't have any staff. They don't have offices. They don't provide products. Some of them don't even have websites yet. And by the way, that isn't just, by the way, Manchester City. There are some of the betting companies that Palace and so forth couple with in the summer. There's still a lot of speculation. I mean, no one. These companies aren't anywhere. You don't see their products anywhere, but yet they're sponsoring Premier League teams. And there is, so that a lot of it comes down to that. Like, there has to be rules about where the money's coming from, who it's coming from. What is it associated with that needs to be there? The problem is as well, I get your point, Staffy, but you have to control how much money comes into football as well, because if you allow too much money to come in, it's the same as quantitative easing in the general economy. You make everything more expensive, and eventually you create a big problem for yourself, because it creates too much scarcity. So there has to be some controls here, I think. But let's go to some of the comments here that have come in. It's interesting ones. First one here says, another day, another case. City have launched a new arbitration against the Premier League over the amended associated party rules, arguing they are unlawful and void. Yes, and the Premier League have essentially said that we've changed because basically what happened in the arbitration is there was 3 points out of the 20 they were sued for or taken to court for. They lost those 3. The Premier League have now amended those 3 things to make them lawful and kept the other 17 in place. So they're now saying, well, it can't be unlawful. So it's going to be an interesting one. Eric here says City presumably argue that some rival teams escaped respective scrutiny over shareholder loans. But the shareholder loan rule has been now amended. So that's all gone. So I don't know if they can argue that anymore, Ed, because I think they've turned that round and changed it somewhat. But yeah, look, what I'm intrigued about in this is the one question I would ask of City fans, and if the City fans watching, please let us know in the comment section. If all your current sponsors are real, legitimate, and above board, and you've become a team that's turning over as much as Real Madrid within a decade, which is a phenomenal achievement. So let's just live in the world that's all above board and honest. I don't understand the problem with the rules. And I'm a little lost. If you've gone from a club turning over a couple of $100 million a year to having the biggest turnover in the world inside a decade, and it's all through legitimate means, and it's not breaking any of the ATP rules, I'd love to understand, again, just to educate us as the audience.
Spot on. You're spot on when you say that, because I was literally going to say that about, Real Madrid and obviously even Man United. The amount of money that you guys generate in your revenue, you're not going to be, I don't see you guys overly doing what City are doing right now. It's like, no. We need to use this rule. Everyone needs to vote for it right now because it's good. It's good competition. It's fugazi, bro. Be right through it, Terry. Yeah. These lot right now, Man City have been winning way more than Chelsea. They've got a bigger stadium than us. When Deloitte released their accounts the other day and whatnot, the ranking, right? 10th. And I think Man City are above us right now. Actually, no, I think they're below us, in fact, right? Match day revenue. Chelsea's still bringing more money than Man City right now. Yeah, and we've got a much smaller stadium. So little things like this, like if you're bringing in all this revenue over COVID, they put all those figures down, they're winning all these trophies. Why are you so adamant that this should go through? That's why I'm looking at it and saying, yeah, this is bookie. Because obviously you're trying to pump all this money in because the club itself isn't generating that much money. That must be what the root cause is. Because Real Madrid's and that, I highly doubt they're going to be fighting for things like this. You know what I mean? So you're spot on, Terry, because I was going to say a similar thing. Bro.
Yeah, I'm interested to know sort of the take on that from City fans, like why it's. I understand it from say Newcastle's point of view. They maybe want to be able to increase the level of sponsors or money that's pumped in by their owners, as an example. But if, for instance, City are as attractive, or Newcastle's owners say they're as attractive as this, like these sponsorship deals are within market value, we are that attractive. Why is it only companies associated to your owners that want to give you that much money? Why are brands not associated with you not offering the same level of sponsorships? This is just a question. I'm not arguing. I'm not even going to debate it per se. I just want to understand the rationale behind that. If a company, a Saudi Arabian based management company, a marketing company wants to sponsor you 100 million a year, why are marketing companies in Europe, in North America, in Australasia, in Asia, why are they not offering similar amounts? That's the only thing I've got a question about in this, because I want to understand it. So, and there might be rationale to it, and I'd love those fans to explain that to us as best they can.
Let's be real. The Newcastle owners bought Newcastle with the express purpose of turning them quickly into a team capable of winning the league. They didn't buy Newcastle for the long haul, try and gradually build and grow. And they wanted to come in and pump the money in and get them up the top, and they haven't been able to. So they're going to try and do anything that they can to make that happen. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Otherwise, I think if they go years and years and being stuck in a rut like this, I think they may end up eventually leaving, because that's not what they bought the club for.
Potentially. I mean, what I would say in fairness to City is when they came in, those rules weren't in place, and then they were in place. And when it comes to, I know they tightened the rules, but there was still a lot of the ruling that are in place. They were there or thereabouts when Newcastle came in. And I know Newcastle fans will probably say, no, they changed them to slow us down. But I think there's an element of needing that to happen. You know, if you just look and do some research into what quantitative easing does to the economy in general and how it can drive up the price of basic items, let alone things that we need, you've got to be careful. And I genuinely mean this from a United point of view. I was someone that wanted multi-billionaires to come in and pump in loads and loads of money. I'm at a point where I don't know if it's the right thing for football at the end of the day. So give us your views, give us your opinions on that in the comments section below. Some super chats here. Why do you think all of a sudden American businessmen are interested in English football? I'll be honest with you as well. Listen, I've called out Hicks and Gillette, called out the Glazers for many years. Nobody cares. We're actually going to move on to a Chelsea subject that's interested in that. I'm not happy with the way the American owners typically use football clubs in terms of, let's try and make it profitable. Let's try and make it grow its value so we can sell it for a big profit in the future. I don't think that has the best interest of football at heart, by and large. And then who is going to be able to afford to buy these clubs in 5 to 10 years' time if they're worth 7, 8, 9, 10 billion? It's only going to be other venture capitalists or countries, essentially, that are going to be able to afford to buy football clubs. So I think something's got to be done, personally, to slow this down, because I do worry about that element in the future, Marty. That's absolutely correct. PSR rules are implemented to check money laundering and tax evasion by these billionaires. They're using teams to hide profits so they get a tax write-off. Goes beyond competitiveness. Well, listen, I don't know much about that. I'm going to bow to your superior knowledge, but that would make, whenever he read that, it makes a lot of sense. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, you know, that's also true. You can't just have money being pumped into the Premier League from anywhere and everything. You can't do that in banking. You can't just open a bank account as a business and then allow money to come into it from anywhere. You have to declare where it's coming from, how much you look to bring in, how you if you open a business account at a bank and say, yeah, we're a wholesalers and we bring in wholesale products to sell to like convenience stores. What are you thinking of turning over? About $1 million a year. Suddenly it's like, oh, they're £10 million coming in 2 months. Your account's getting frozen. They want an explanation. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to explain.
We literally just had it with if you remember, we were sponsored by that Infinity Squad sponsorship last season.
Yes.
And I never heard of them before, and they seem to be like a new company that came about. And all of a sudden, they were paying us, I think it was like 40 to 50 million. And obviously, there was questions around it, but the Prem did all their checks and everything came back legit. So I get it, bro.
And on that quantitative easing thing you were talking about, imagine all this money comes in for these particular clubs and they're paying crazy transfer fees. All of a sudden now, 150 mil transfer fee becomes the norm. Do you know what I mean? And 200 becomes the norm. And then like 500 grand a week starts becoming what people are asking for. Like all the prices go up and only a select few clubs will be able to afford these prices. It's just
and I think there's a thing, like, as a Man United fan, it's never. I think when Chelsea got their money and when City started spending, you can go back and watch the content, people. I've never bemoaned it. I've never called their managers checkbook managers, and I think I didn't care because Man United always had money. If that made sense, like I was like, oh, we've still got money to spend. I've moaned that we haven't spent it correctly, but I am looking at it more and more now, and I think we're just going to end up leaving. I've always been a believer of, you know what, if you run yourself well for decades and decades and decades, you can catch the big boys. And there is an element of truth to that, because once upon a time, teams like Nottingham Forest and Villa and Everton were one of the highest turnovers in the country, the most successful teams. They stopped being run so well and fell off, and then other teams caught them up and surpassed them. We've seen that happen. But I just feel now that if you're having people coming in that are worth £1 trillion, right? It just, and then you allow them to spend most of that, they're never being caught. And also, this is the question I would have for everyone who's owned by multi-billionaires that wants this. What happens when those people leave? The drop-off could be massive if those associated parties also leave your football club. And I think you have to think about what happens after those owners have had your club. So I think there's a lot more to think about than just ambition versus no ambition, to be fair. American owners are ruining clubs more than Kanye West is ruining his legacy.
Topical.
It is topical. I'm not judging Kanye. I'm not even getting that. Not that he cares what I think. He knows not who I am. But yeah, that outfit was a madness. I'm not gonna lie. Live and let live, I say. But Jesus Christ. Thank you for your continued support. Hope we can do a collab soon with all the Football Terrace dads in the near future. Keep up the great work. Come on, you irons and gooners. Do you know what? Dads is our podcast. I'm going to say this. You guys have been robbed recently. I've heard a rumor that like a massive group of like big content creators are launching a dads only football podcast. And I was like, I thought of you lot because you lot did it first. I really did think of you guys because you guys did it first. Which was a shame, really. But it's not that people can do similar things. That's not the issue. It's more people are going to go, oh my God, what's going to happen to you guys? Be prepared for this. Is that people are going to then say that you copied them, and just be prepared. It happens all the time in this space. So just be careful. Just be careful on that one. Hello, Lawless, you dashing stallion. Oi. You almost had us, but Chelsea couldn't let that rat Potter win at our ground. Back to the depths you go, up the Chelsea.
Is this Don? Is that Don's alt account? Is that what it is, Don? Is that you?
Boy, yeah, I must have moved to the US recently, Lawless. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you just speaking the realness, man. You know what I mean? Big up Graham for the 3 points, man. We'll take the 6 from you.
No. Big up the ref for the 3 points. If you're gonna big up someone, big up the ref.
Come on, let's not do this. Let's not do this, bro. I can talk about decisions against your club when I face you. But it happens every time you come to the bridge, something mad happens against you lot. I can't lie.
What are you Thai or something? You want to go back 15 years or something? No, we're talking about one game.
Suchek handball in it was 15 years ago.
We're talking about this game. So let's talk about this game.
There we go then. You don't want to talk about Suchek's handball, do you? Yeah.
No, because that was fucking years ago.
It was the other year when we finished 12th.
It's years ago, man.
I love it. This here says Man City want the rules change so that the shareholder loans issued before last year's judgment are retrospectively reviewed by the Premier League to check if they were a fair market value. Listen, I wouldn't be against that. I think that's a fair cop. If I'm being honest with you. That fact checker makes a lot of sense. If they're going to be held to account for fair market value, it would make sense that it's done in all directions. I absolutely agree. Speaking of fairness, you must have seen the video this week, Don. I know we spoke about it in the group chats earlier this week. The video, I think the gentleman's name was Steve, talking about Todd Bowley's involvement in sort of the ticket touting websites and how.
I actually haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't watched the video. Yeah.
But essentially, he was saying that Chelsea fans, local in the UK, are struggling through their membership to get tickets, and then the international fans are getting them, and that's not a problem. But he says they're being exploited and paying anything between £1,000 to £20,000 for tickets. And it turns out that Todd Bowley is a part owner and a director of this company that take 10% plus admin fees off of all these prices. I know Chelsea fans are not happy about it. I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans make content condemning this and calling it out, that the likes of Eunice and others saying it's wrong. Has anything happened in the last few days? Have Chelsea announced that Todd Bowley's stepping away from that company? Is that something you think he should do as a Chelsea supporter, is step away from essentially exploiting fans for tickets?
Yeah. I know, 100%, bro. You know, if he's heavily involved in that business, you know, and they're basically bumping Chelsea fans and making them pay, you know, crazy fees on the tickets, then yeah, he's got to do something about that. Whether he stops working with those third parties that are selling those tickets, because end of the day, you know, buzzword today is conflict of interest. It's a massive conflict of interest, Terry, you know. So if I'm Bowley, you know, for the sake of PR and for the sake of obviously building that relationship with the fan base, because right now the fans are disgruntled, and rightly so, because the squad building has been shit. You know, we've dropped off form. Things aren't really great with Chelsea right now. We've got a problem up top right now as well. Gill's injured. We've got no natural striker in the team. So if Bowley wants to help himself, bro, he will come out and say, yo, listen, we've stopped working with that, you know, the partners or whatever, or I've stepped back and something like that. But again, at the same time, like I said to you in the group chat, bro, this guy is probably director of so many businesses. He doesn't even know the ins and outs of most of these things. That's the thing. So he's probably going to have, I don't know, advisors next to him saying, yo, this is what's coming out right now. What do you want us to do? And then probably just take a step back from it. But yeah, ultimately, he needs to do something about it, because yeah, it's not good. It's not good that he sort of owns a business that's exploiting fans, right? So yeah, I disagree with it, man. I disagree with it.
Yeah, we got our fan group, Save Our Concessions. They're the group that are going around and going to all different clubs and doing this movement to try and stop this. And look, our club sell tickets to these touts like what them American companies? Is it StubHubs and they've got all of these companies, these third party companies. They sell tickets to, and these tickets charge people like tourists these packages of over £1,000, and yeah, it's disgusting. And certain fans, I watched that video. Yeah, that Steve guy, he made some good points. Though in the video, he admits to his mate touting a ticket to him.
Yeah,
he charged him over face value.
I know, I couldn't believe that. Like, who would charge their mate over face value? It's crazy.
And people have shown screenshots that he charged people well over face value. So it's mental to me. Is these fans are calling out and listen, it's great, wrong, but right message, wrong messenger. Because I'm always of someone. If it's a West Ham fan, yeah, I will charge you face value for a ticket. I will always do that if it's a West Ham fan. And if someone's a West Ham fan trying to charge another West Ham fan over face value, I will call it out. And 100%. The fact that the club are doing it themselves and getting involved in that, that's disgusting as an ownership. Because at the same time, I don't know how your club does it, Don, but we can't, the club crack down if we try and sell our tickets to each other for face value, let alone over face value. They don't even like us, you know, giving each other the tickets. They want everything to go back through the clubs. So for a club to then be doing that and then, you know, be in charge of tickets outing.
The thing is, yeah, that as much as I disagree with it, Terry, yeah, the question here is how do you stop it, bro? Because like reselling itself is an industry right now when it comes to trainers, bro. It comes to fucking caps that you can't get that are exclusive, you know, tracksuits, all of these things, yeah. Reselling is its own industry in itself because you're always gonna have buyers. So the question that I've got is how do you stop it, bro? Because I can never see it ending in football.
No, I understand that. It's hard to stop. If you go and buy a ticket for £50, it can be difficult for the club and the Premier League to stop you selling it for £100. But what the clubs can do is make it that only their website can sell the tickets and they're only sold. So the club being connected to the ticket touting is the problem here, in my opinion. It's also the way they behave. So there's a viral video about Man United the other day where a guy checked his bank account or checked his ticket app and was like, "Oh shit, I haven't paid for my ticket for the game tonight." And he just basically rung up and he told the woman at the ticket office and he said, "Look, sorry, I didn't move money from my business account to my personal account. The payment bounced. Can I pay for my ticket now?" And she said, "Well, your ticket's already been sold." It was 2 weeks later. He's like, "Oh, shit." He went, "All right, no worries. My fault. I didn't put the money across." She went, "Yeah, but are you going to buy a ticket now?" And he said to her, "No, because I go with my mates. And if I'm not going to be near my mates, then I don't go to games because we go as a group." And she said, "Well, if you don't go to this game, if you don't buy a ticket today for the game, we will then be banning you for one Premier League game because you missed this match." So he was forced into buying a ticket. And I just look at that. Clubs don't need to behave that way. For me, that is just absolutely horrendous behavior. Man United should be absolutely ashamed that we've done that. As you've said, Lawless, I actually also think all of our clubs will take a percentage of the tickets and will give them to StubHub and everyone else and earn a percentage of the extortionate price that they're being pushed out for. How this can be stopped is a rule coming in that just states that all clubs have to be sold at face value through the club website. As an example, there should be rules that come in that protect season ticket holders where they get a certain period of time to pay for their tickets. But if they miss it, they're not punished. Like some people get their ticket. It's the way they treat fans is absolutely horrendous. At the same time, though, are we surprised? Like we're Man United fans moaning about this. I'm like, guys, we've been talking about, I've been talking about the Glazers for 20 years only caring about money. And if you keep feeding that habit of giving greedy people money, how do you think they're going to treat you? At the end of the day, they're not. I look at them as like naughty kids. If my kids are naughty and I keep allowing them to be naughty, they're just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse over time. They'll keep pushing those boundaries. And that is how these owners behave. They keep pushing these boundaries. And yeah, look, I think Todd Bowley, when it comes to Chelsea, what you said at Lawless about West Ham, Man United situation, I'll give an example for. It's horrendous how they treat match-going fans. And, people charging. I got caught out once, though. I didn't mean to do this. I was young. When Twitter first came out, and somebody said, "Oh, I've got a ticket to sell," and he said it's £100, and I didn't even think about it. So I put it out on Twitter. I said, "A ticket for this stand, £100. Why are you sending that over market value?" And I was like, "Shit, I suppose it is." I went, "Bro, why are you sending that £100?" Well, I bought it for £100, and I'm like, "Yeah, but you can't." I deleted the tweet, and I'm like, I didn't even really think about it, and I was like, "Yeah, you can't be selling it at over face value. You're gonna have to lose on it now because it's like a not a done." That's when I realized how bad that was. But he got stung, and we're just trying to sell it at the price he. So for him, it was face value. He spent £100 on it. I went, "Yeah, Rob, you're gonna have to sell it for." I think it was like at the time. I said, "I think you got to sell it for £44. Otherwise."
Terry, it's the thing though. Like, I get what you're saying, right? But to be real, yeah, in the real world. Even if the clubs want to sell all the tickets on the website, which I think Chelsea do that anyway, I don't think we put it on any third-party websites, right? It's always going to end up on the third-party websites because, like I've said, there's people out there that literally live every day through reselling. So they're going to buy the tickets from the website in bulk or whatever and just resell it.
But I understand that. I'm talking about your club being involved with it, though.
Okay. In terms of like the club being involved,
yeah.
Okay, if they're involved in it and they know what's going on, then of course I don't agree with it, right? But again, I don't know to the extent because obviously it's Bowley's company and whatnot. I don't know to the extent of how much involvement is actually in it, if that makes sense, from the club themselves directly.
Right? I know Bowley owns his company, man. Like he can.
I know, bro. I don't know the ins and outs of everything.
Surely there's a way. Surely there's a way. Surely there's a way digitally now in the technical world we live in, where those resale websites are told you can only sell at the face value or we ban you from selling the tickets for the Chelsea in the Premier League should be able to say to a website, "You are not allowed to sell tickets to our event unless they're at face value." And then that stops people from upping those prices. You just set it that all tickets have to be sold at face value. And then, or up to a certain limit, maybe I get these websites and if there's no money in it for these websites, then we don't need you. Because if you can just buy tickets through that's how you get rid of ticket touting. They can only be sold through the club or through the theater that the show's at. And if somebody can't go, they give their ticket back and get their money back, and someone else buys it from there.
And it's not like you can't track tickets, though. Like at the end of the day, say someone's bought a load of tickets in, I don't know, block 130, row 6, whatever. These are these tickets. As a club, okay, they're selling these tickets on here. Who's bought them? Ban them, block the tickets, re-put them on our website. Like, so like it's so easy to track these tickets, who's buying them. So you prioritize. Obviously, season ticket holders always get priority. Their tickets already will make it sold. But you have members, right? We will have members, and members usually get priority when it comes to buying the match day tickets, the non-season ticket holders. And then with our club, like, you would have to have what used to be purchasing history. So you have your number and stuff because you've bought tickets in the past. So all of this stuff is traceable and can be controlled. And if you're seen to be touting, that shit gets bad. You can't buy tickets again, whether you're a company, a third party.
The reality is, as much as I agree with what you're saying, the reality is these big businesses, these multi-billion businesses, right? They're not going to look into these things unless the club isn't selling enough tickets, right? So if there's always empty seats and that, that's when they'll start to look into payments and that. If every week the bridge is filled out and that, they're not gonna start doing all the digging and stuff. That's just the reality of it. I'm sorry. Every club's gonna be the same. They're only gonna really look into the finances and that.
They should.
When there's people that aren't paying for these tickets.
This is why the atmospheres are dying, though, Don, as well. Like, and that's the thing, because you're getting the tourists are getting priority, because a normal proper match going fan like us lot, right? The proper fans of the clubs. We're not gonna spend no grand to go see our local. I ain't doing it yet. To go watch West Ham in the Premier League. I ain't doing that. But someone that's maybe visiting from another country that sees, I could go see the Premier League and fuck it, I'm spending this money anyway. We'll spend it and not they'll go to the game, but not contribute to the atmosphere. So they're pricing out the regular fans, right? For fans that maybe aren't as into that club, that just happen to be on holiday or something like that. So then while the stadium's full, it's hurting the atmosphere. And I think that's the thing. And when I say proper fans, I'm not talking about, I'm including Staffy. I'm not saying international fans ain't proper fans before people get triggered. What I'm talking about is someone that happens to be in the area.
You mean regular match going fans? I know what you mean.
Yeah. Just, someone who happens to be in the country goes, I'm going to take in a Premier League game. Oh, who's here? It's West Ham versus Crystal Palace today.
I know a lot of people that go to Europe and they just pick a random game to go to, not necessarily because they're a fan of it. My cousin is actually from Australia, and he's going to England, and he was like, I want to catch a game. He didn't care which game. Preferably he wants to watch Liverpool. But he said, it's like, I want to go to either this stadium, that stadium, that stadium. Let's be honest. He loves football, but I know he's not going to go. If he goes to London Stadium, I know he's not going to be sitting there with Lawless singing all the West Ham regular game chants and all that stuff. I know.
And the thing is, for me, it's one of them ones, Staffy. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of the Prem and what they think of reselling and whatnot, right? But obviously, bro, like when Bowley and Igbali had to take over, they had everything checked, bro, right? Every single thing checked. So surely, if it was that much of an issue for Bowley to be in charge of this company, because someone actually just said it in a comment, that's a good point. Surely, if it's so much of an issue, Bowley being a director of that company, then he wouldn't have passed the test to be part owner of Chelsea, right? So you can look at it from that angle as well. Like, how much are the Prem actually doing to stop, people reselling? Because in the Prem, if you go to away games, they're capped at £30. I never pay over resale, like the actual value, face value. I never pay over. Some people pay like £100 for an away ticket. And if you actually look at the ticket, they're all £30. All Premier League games are capped at £30, bro. So I'm looking at that as well. How much of the Prem actually trying to stop reselling? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, everyone filling up their stadiums makes the Prem more money. That's the reality, and that's how I'm looking at it. As much as I don't agree with it, as long as it's putting money in these guys' pockets, they're not going to do the digging. They're not going to do the digging, bro.
But I'm saying, how can the Prem do something like over the clubs themselves? What could, because I've laid out what the clubs can do. So what could, in your opinion,
if the Prem put something severe in there, right, to say, okay, if we find that the club is involved in some ticket touting, you're going to get deducted points, or you're going to get a massive fine, hefty fine. That's going to mean now that the Premier League clubs will start to look into things a little bit more. They'll start to do their own digging. But if the Premier like, you own that company that sells third-party tickets and they resell it, okay, but it brings money to the Prem, no worries, it's calm. We'll pass that off. Do you get it? So what's the criteria? Are the Prem happy with that as well? Are they not seeing it as a conflict of interest as well? Because I find it hard. I find it hard that didn't flag up when Bowley became owner, bro, part owner. I find it very hard to believe that didn't flag up.
When would it flag up to the point where people are starting going, okay, why don't we put these on this third party website and sell a ticket to someone for £1 million, whatever, right? And buy it themselves and and then they'll start looking into it. If they start basically doing the basically funding their own team through buying overpriced tickets. Because where's the limit, right? Say someone goes, right, we're going to sell a match day ticket on this third-party website, buy it ourselves for flipping, I don't know, 50 mil and pump in our own, like, surely at that point they have to start checking. Someone's buying tickets. You get what I'm saying? Like, they're
50 million. So they're gonna invite everyone. They're gonna invite everyone that works for them, all their staff.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They're buying tickets off themselves through third-party websites. Because you could just, there's no cap to what you can play.
No, but come on, Lawless. You ain't got to do that because you're always gonna, bro. You've got more than enough fans for the tickets to go around. Like the bridge is never.
No, you don't get what I'm saying. It's like, you know, like the third-party sponsorships, so the associated sponsorships where you're sponsoring yourself. Yeah, it's your own company. It's like that, but you're buying the ticket off yourself because you're setting the fucking price. Oh, we sold the ticket.
So you just pump it straight back in, and then so it's like
you're pumping money into your. Surely at that point,
I get it. It's on the books now. It's all dodgy. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit. I would also too close to home. I feel like that's a little bit too close to home.
I look at it from the other side. They might not even. This also could be a thing for the Premier League. Did they check this type of thing on the fit and proper persons test? But you would assume they would. But we look at the kind of owners that they've allowed to come in. I don't think they check too much, to be honest with you. I don't know. Exactly. And then that's not a dig at anybody. That's also the Premier League have got to look at itself. And
that's what I'm saying.
I just think their primary focus here should be we have got to get fans into stadiums, the cheapest possible prices, with as much least inflation as possible, without billionaires creaming off the top and making even more money that they don't need, like off more money off fans. So I think they can do something with the digital world that we live in. It's easy in my opinion, and I think it's one of those things. I think we'll all do it. Oh no, but this and that, and you'll probably speak to an expert or go, "Yeah, we can't do it for these reasons," right? I guarantee if the law came in and when you start doing this or you shut down, they'd find a way very, very quickly to do. I always remember listening to Elon Musk, and I don't like everything he says or does, but when he first went into Twitter, they were like, oh no, we need all these employees to run this and run that and do this and do that. He's cut 80% of the staff and it's all working still. So like the point is all the experts that work there said, oh, we can't operate without this amount of staff. And he basically said, I think 80% of the staff here don't do anything all day. He cuts them. And look, not everyone likes Twitter now, but it works. It operates. It works like it ever did before, generally speaking. And I think sometimes we live in this world where experts will say, oh, we can't make these changes because of this rule or this problem. But in reality, if they're forced into doing it, I bet some type of change could come in.
Yeah. Can't just mean don't want to. It's just their way of saying they don't want to, and they say can't because they don't want to say that they don't want to do it.
Well, my dad always use his expression. Sometimes when you're not an expert on something, people that are can often blind you with science. They can make it sound really complicated why they can't control it, and we all just sit there and go, oh, okay, it must be right then because I don't really understand it. But I just think in the digital world we live in with smartphones, it's like I can't go to a game. I've got to sell my ticket. It goes back to the club. They resell it at face value. So I do get fans. Fans get annoyed they can't sell tickets to each other. But the problem is if you want to stop touting, then you also have to stop fans from being able to sell to each other because it can't work both ways. I suppose that's the only. It's
like this, Terry. Put it this way: like everyone that's protesting against the Glazers and that, if they give up their season ticket, someone else would just take it, right? So I get what you're saying, Terry. Like you got to hit them in their pockets, which is understandable, and I agree with that point as well. But at the same time, the reality is someone else will just go and give them that money back. So for me, the only way that this is going to stop is if stadiums start to empty because everyone's taking a stand against paying reseller.
Again, I still challenge that theory to a certain degree. Of course, tourists, like people that just want to catch a game that are going as a tourist that don't support either club, they'll exist. There are other people that will jump up and buy your tickets, but I actually think I include the international fans on this. International fans that actually support Man United, if they saw a movement which was everyone's boycotting and the best way to support the club is to cut the money to get rid of the Glazers, I think a large percentage of international fans would get on board. I think they love the club just as much. Yes, you'd still have tourists that are like, well, I'm going to buy a ticket. I don't support any English team, but I'm here on holiday. I'm going to go to a game. But I still think you could empty that stadium. You could cut millions of pounds. It would damage things with sponsorships. It would be all the TV company was talking about. TV broadcasters are talking about. They'd stop speaking about the game, which is not what the sponsor of the Premier League want. They want it to be about the football. I still think it would work. But I also understand the reason why people don't want to boycott. Because actually doing something tangible and sacrificing. And I've had conversations with people who do the protest at Man United, and I understand what they do, and I support the protests, but I do think they're futile. I've seen multiple protests in the UK in my whole life, from 1 million people marching through London to stop the Iraq war. Didn't work. I saw protests every weekend for over a year to stop the atrocities going on in Gaza. Didn't stop it. As an example, we saw BLM's protests. It hasn't necessarily, in terms of, there's no empirical evidence to say the lives of people suffering under that. Black lives suffering in the UK has got better. Police brutality has got better. And that's not saying they shouldn't protest and make a noise. But my general view in life is tangible action, policy change, create change. Protesting by itself, I don't necessarily think. So fans just saying, I'm going to protest, and then they go into the ground and buy a cup of tea, have a beer, buy a program. I don't see how these greedy owners are going to change anything if we're still giving them our money.
Bro, a lot of these people
that's the first step to protest.
Hold on, a lot of these people. What's so funny about this as well, Terry? Yeah? A lot of these people don't even show up. All these people that you see, especially my fan base, yeah, crying every day on the timeline and that, yeah. Big up CB, because CB actually showed up to the bridge to protest, yeah. He was the only one that showed up. And online, there were so many people barking, talking about Clear Lake out and all of these things. CB turned up, and even the guy that organized it didn't show up himself, right? So all these lot, they like to talk about protesting, making a change. When it actually comes down to it, they're not on it. They're not on it,
bro. And that's my point here. Like, tangible action and protests are part of that. And I'm not saying they're not. But at the same time, Man United have done multiple protests in 20 years, and the Glazers are still here. And all I ever hear is they care about money, they care about money, they care about money. Well, there's one answer. You pull the money. But are people prepared to give up their season ticket, to stop wearing the shirt, to be able to tell their children like mine, you're not getting anything that's Man United based? I want to go back to going to games. And I've said until there's a clear plan and it's public about how Ineos are buying out the Glazers, and we see that they're taking the club in the right direction, I'm also not going to fund it either. As much as we need money, I believe if you believe inherently they're only here to say, if you're someone that's Ineos and Glazers out, how are you giving them your money? How are you funding and feeding their habit? I've never understood it. I don't judge you. I'm not saying you're a bad fan. I just don't get it. So look, protest all you want, but if you protest and then give these, in your words, blood-sucking leeches your money, why would they make any change when you are still giving them exactly what they want? That's been my view on this for a good few years now. And it's a hard conversation to have because people take it very personally. And there's probably been a few times I've articulated it wrong. I think I probably said a bit too much. I think I've called them, oh, you're just a Glazer if you give them money. And I probably shouldn't have done it that way. That was out of anger and frustration with the way the club was being run. But again, if you're a Chelsea fan and you really want Clear Lake out and you think they're only there to make money, well, you've got to stop them making money. Because as long as you're making them their peas, they're going nowhere, bruv. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. You've got to cut the money. That's it. No amount of moaning will ever stop it. Let's have a look here. This says even clubs have gotten as bad as touts now themselves. £600 to £700 for a hospitality seat in the upper tier. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I did hospitality once. I wanted to experience it, and it was 150 quid, but that was with a full 3-course meal, as much alcohol as I wanted. You got and I thought for the amount of money you're spending for a ticket, 3-course, really good meal, and unlimited alcohol, I didn't think £150 was too much for everything you got. But 600-700 quid, again, fuck that. That's halfway to an all-inclusive holiday.
It's a worse match going experience. Like, you know what I mean? I've done it because my cousin, for like cup games or whatever, my cousin would get like free tickets in the hospitality, and so I would get it for free. So I'd do it, and it's a worse match going experience because you're up there, no one around there sings anything. Everyone's sitting down. It's the atmosphere is just poor up there, and I would rather just sit in my normal seat. Like really,
I agree. Right?
You can't even take the beer out to your seat anyway. So I mean, we would pour it into like cups.
Well, I had a hip flask. I had a hip flask that was hidden inside my jacket. So I had my whiskey in that. So I used to have my hip flask, which I got away with for years. But yeah,
they don't really search you when you're going games, man. They just kind of pat you down and
like in the hospitality. So where you do like you're on the table and you get all the drinks, and then like you go out on through the doors, in it, the patio onto the
Upton Park or the new stadium.
Yeah, this is in the new stadium, yeah. And then like but you would get these like juice cups or whatever it is for just putting non-alcoholic drinks in, and you just pour the beer in there and then take it outside. So there's no real searching, like you're just there and then you go out. But like I said, the atmosphere, if you could get it cheaper for free or you want to experience it one-off, then do it. But if you're paying mad prices, you'd enjoy it much more down with the proper fans.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's important to do that way around. Viewers, though, give us your thoughts, your opinions, feelings on all of that right now in the comment section below. Moving on from that, and talk about a few other bits and pieces. A lot of Arsenal fans today, I've seen kind of frustrated, kicking off at their club, saying that the Arsenal players are being rewarded with a trip away to Dubai for however many days a week for a mini pre-season. I know none of us here are Arsenal fans. Well, some will say I am. I know none of us here are Arsenal fans, but is this rewarding failure or is it the best thing for Arsenal? What are we saying?
Go on, Staffy. I barely heard Staffy say anything. Yeah. Land.
Who? First of all, who said it's a rewarding failure?
I heard lead judges say it. I've seen a few Arsenal fans tweet about it, and then it's had traction. People agreeing, if that makes sense. I've seen a few prominent people saying they've been poor. They've gone out to cup competitions. Yeah. They should be training. Yeah, they should be at training, and they shouldn't be rewarded with a nice trip to Dubai. I wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that.
I don't think it's rewarding anyways, because it was planned for a minute now. So it's not like all of a sudden they said, you know what, guys, we've been losing. Let's cheer up. Let's go to Dubai on a trip. No, it was planned anyways, because they're not in the FA Cup this round. So they were always gonna go on a camp somewhere warm where they can train a little bit, get out of that. I know it's probably freezing right now in England because it's so cold over here. So get out of that cold weather. Get out of that all that rain, all that shit. Just change the atmosphere a little bit. Let's just go somewhere. We're gonna have a little training camp mid-season, and we'll come back and hopefully we're re-energized on and off the pitch. I don't think it has anything. I mean, when you study sports psychology, psychology in general, I mean, like sometimes I feel burdened out from work, and I just go away for a weekend, and I come back. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to sit in front of a screen and then just sit home on the weekend and then do the same thing next week. I just need a little bit of a break. That's just how it is. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it has anything to do with winning or losing. Because if Arsenal qualified, 2 days ago, they still would have made that trip. It has nothing to do with the outcome of the last few games. I feel like people, and I'm trying to be very respectful about this. I just feel some people are just so old school. They think like, oh, just because you've been losing games, now I need to send a statement, and I'm not going to send you on whatever trip you guys were going on. We're going to cancel that camp, and we're going to stay in London, and we're going to train the same training that we're going to do in a warm weather. We're going to do it at home. But guess what? Some of these players have families, have kids, have responsibilities. It will be nice for them to leave for a week to 10 days. I don't know what it is. I really don't know how long it is. Just to be out of all that, just go focus on football, be with your teammates. Sometimes it's good for squad building and all that. And I know people will laugh at it and say, oh, he's doing the whole I love you, you love me thing that Arteta always does. But it is needed. I'll be honest with you. This is why in every league, they always have these mid-season breaks. I feel like England is one of the few countries that don't actually do that. Sir Alex Ferguson used to do that, by the way, for people who don't know. And this is someone that a lot of us regard as one of the best managers in sports history, not just football. He used to sometimes feel like some of his players are underperforming, especially the older ones, and be like, yo, I'm not going to put in the next 2 games. Just go take a week off, take care of your body. I don't know, just spend some time with family, just clear the weather at a clear weather and just come back.
I remember he did that for Rio. Remember when Rio was stinking out the gaff? He was going through a bad phase. He said, yeah, you know what? Yeah, take a little break.
Bro, he used to do that mid-season. And that's not would you say that Sir Alex was rewarding failure when he did that? No, he used to do that with players that maybe were suffering a little bit of injuries, maybe when they get a little bit older, or maybe when he just felt like their mind wasn't focused on the pitch. It has nothing to do with rewarding failure. If I just say, you know what, fuck that, the trip is canceled, I'll see you guys tomorrow on whatever the training ground is called at Arsenal, and then it's raining or snowing or whatever it is, I promise you that won't change the fact that they'll play shit next game anyways. If you think they've been playing shit, guess what? They'll probably play shit again next week. Has nothing to do with it. People just do stupid shit, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone just wants to do this. Oh, look at me. I'm gonna hold these players accountable. Yeah, no Dubai trip for you. You train in London next week. Nah, bro, it's stupid, bro. Honestly, stupid.
Maybe, yeah, no, listen, I think there's a lot of truth to what you say. I think there's a lot of merit to that, and I agree to an extent. Maybe, though, that Arteta maybe needs to try something different and some tough love and say, we ain't going to Dubai, we're going to Scotland. We're going to Scotland for some cold weather training. Cold weather training. You guys, you know what I mean? Like, there seems to be a mentality issue in this team. And I think Arteta can be a little bit too soft. Maybe they need some tough love and to learn to play in tough conditions. You know, like I said, maybe because he's done the warm training and this, that, and the other. I said,
last time they went to Dubai, you know what happened? They came back and they went on an insane run.
The witch doctor, bro. That's what they did. You know what I mean? They came back refreshed. They came back. They battered West Ham. I remember they battered Sheffield. They were scoring bare goals. Havertz was flying. You know, people were singing 60 million down the drain and whatnot. All of that. You know, that was the second half of the season when he got moved from midfield as well. They looked a lot better. Odegaard was playing at a world-class level for me. Saka picked up his performances. So yeah, bro, it's like a little checkpoint. You know, maybe now they just need time to just replenish, you know, recharge and then go again. But everything that Staffy said, I agree, bro. It's got nothing to do with rewarding failure. This was already part of the schedule, right? Forest are in Dubai right now as well. Nottingham Forest are in Dubai right now as well, bro.
Bro, everyone.
This
is not an Arsenal
comment.
Sorry.
He's talking about this, Sasuke. He commented it earlier about fucking Salt Bay feeding Arteta his meat again.
I wasn't going to say that, but
that picture was wild. That picture was wild.
Listen, I said it before. I'm going to say it again. When that happened, bro, I don't know if I should say that, but the Arab meat changed Arteta's life. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? Like, I do agree with you, boys. I think. Do you feel? I don't know. None of us are Arsenal fans. Are some gooners being too harsh on this Arsenal team right now, or do you feel that they are right to be as frustrated and as angry as they are?
Yes and no. There's elements to be frustrated about.
Yep.
And there's things. I'll be honest. I'm tired of the two extremes when it comes to Arsenal fans, and it's fans in general. But since we're focusing on Arsenal, I'll keep it on Arsenal fans right now. I'm so tired of the two extremes. I'll just be chilling there and I'm on my phone and just go through a video either on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. And it's either a very, very, very super positive Arsenal fan for no reason, or it's a very, very, very negative Arsenal fan for no reason. And I'm so tired. There is a middle ground. For the millionth time I said it, there's a middle ground that no one wants to visit. I saw a video the other day, and I'm not going to call out anyone by names because some of these people, I know they're content creators, but I don't know them personally. So I won't speak about them by their names. But I saw a video of someone saying, get Arteta out because we didn't sign a player. And I just looked at it. I was like, for all the things you could have called out Arteta for, you called him out because you didn't sign someone on deadline day. And I just looked at that and I was like, that's so stupid. And 3 days ago, everyone, and I'm still Deji's catchphrase here, everyone was shaking their bums when they won 5-1. Everyone, and rightfully so. You deserve to shake your bum. Hey, I'll be doing that too if I beat City 5-1. But everyone was shaking their bum when they won 5-1. A day later, when they didn't sign anyone, they start targeting Arteta. And then they say, get him out now. So I was like, I was just very confused. How can a manager get you to win 5-1 and everyone's sitting there praising the performance, and a day later he's saying, get him out because we didn't sign him? He's not.
That's not that crazy.
It's not even his job, though. But it's not his job, Lawless.
Listen, and take from me as a West Ham fan who had David Moyes as the manager, right? I liken Arteta and Moyes in terms of transfer windows and things like this to be quite similar. They're both managers, right? They're not head coaches. Arteta has a lot of power, has a lot of say over who comes in, and we can talk about the players that he's brought in. Sometimes the manager, and I've seen it with Moyes, can have as much of an impact in not a player not coming in, or any signings, than the head coach or whatever, because they haven't got an Edu now at the moment at the club anyway. So it is kind of.
But Lawless, I have no problem. Listen, if people came out and were frustrated, I did a stream that day for Bleacher Report, and I called out Arsenal. I said, if I was an Arsenal fan, I was actually frustrated, and I'm not even an Arsenal fan. I did that stream that day, and I said, if you're an Arsenal fan, you should be frustrated because I'm a rival and I'm frustrated for you. Because how could you be in a position where you're hearing right now that you had a chance to sign Ollie Watkins, but the club didn't want to spend because the rumors are they kind of want to use that money in the summer and not spend it on a 60-year-old, spend the 60 on a 29-year-old. And I heard a lot of people saying, oh, but why would you invest money in a 29-year-old? I was like, no, you're not investing in a 29-year-old. If you do win the league with him, you invested in the Premier League. So it doesn't matter if you spent 60, 80, 100, even 200. You won the league, and that's the bottom line. My issue is, Lawless, people call out the wrong thing sometimes. Be frustrated at the club. But why am I seeing videos of people saying, get Arteta out because we didn't sign a player? Arteta got you to beat the City team. Let's just be honest, bro. I've criticized Arteta for years now. It's reached a point where Arteta has a better team than Pep this season. Whether people like it or not, these are the facts. This season, Arsenal are better than City. I don't care why. I don't care how we got here. Clearly, this Arsenal team is way more dominant than the City team. Whether City come back next season or not, that's a different discussion. But this is where we are right now. Arteta was a part of this team getting here. Now, I'm not saying if he doesn't win the league this season, keep him, because I still criticize him for not being ahead of Liverpool right now. But people don't want to deal with the middle ground. And this is my frustration. Every time, and this is why I'm so tuned out with YouTube right now, because every time I go on YouTube right now, I see someone who just had one match reaction or fan reaction on any channel, and they just go, they buy a mic, they buy a camera, and they just scream. And I'm like, you are just screaming for clout. And there's too many of them right now. You are literally in a title race, and your club let you down in January. 100% call them out for that. But let's not act like this Arsenal team is not in the title race. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think they'll win the Champions League, but their name is in the hat. I know people don't want to say it. I know what people want to say. Oh, yeah, you know what? No European heritage. They're not going to win it. I see people like Hassam. Shout out Hassam. But Hassam is telling me I'd rather face Arsenal in the Champions League than City, which is absolutely mind-boggling. There is no way in any condition. If my team is in the Champions League right now, I don't want to face Arsenal. Give me City anytime. Because that aging midfield is getting run rag by everyone. And Arteta just did that on the weekend. I'm tired of the flip-flopping. I'm seeing people dance when they beat City, and then 2 days later they're screaming when Newcastle scored. Bro, sit in the fucking middle ground, and if you want to get behind this team for the rest of the season, go ahead. And if you just don't believe in the project, I also respect that. But they need to stop the two extremes, bro. It's actually frustrating to watch.
It pisses me off, even in my fan base, bro. Like the overly, you know, like I don't know, call people out in it. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I agree with a lot of what you've said there, Staffy, right? But the thing that I don't agree with is wait, hold on. Am I lagging, guys?
No, you're good.
Oh, the thing that I don't agree with, right, is for you to say that people can't have an opinion to get Arteta out for not signing a striker, because end of the day, the signing of Kai Havertz, right, has obviously come back to bite them. Let's be real, because yes, he helps them put up numbers. Yes, he's done all right. He's done better than what everyone expected. But ultimately, he wasn't the guy to go and sign to help them get over the line, right? Because they've still got a gap in that left centre mid position, and they've still got a gap up top. So signing Havertz for 65 million when that money could have been spent elsewhere in a position where since Aubameyang, they ain't really had a hold on, bro. Yeah, since Aubameyang, they haven't really had a gunman up there.
I agree.
Of course, a lot of fans are gonna be angry about it, bro, because it's like you've neglected this area for so long. You know, Jesus has gone down injured. Havertz is not the answer. We've seen that already against Newcastle. It was night and day the difference between Arsenal and Newcastle. They have Isak, Arsenal have Havertz, right? Because if they had Isak in that first leg, they're in the final right now. Let's be real. So you have to understand, like, yes, I get it. I don't agree with everyone that's always polarized and they complain at every single aspect of the club. Like for me, I don't like Arsenal, bro, but I can be objective. I just said about the buy being a good thing potentially for them, and it's got nothing to do with, you know, punishing them and all of these things. That's not going to do anything. It was already planned. But end of the day, fans that are frustrated about neglecting the striking position, they've got every right to be angry about that.
No, but I agree with you. But remember, my initial call up was what? The two extremes. The extremely negative ones and the extremely positive ones. Because equally, I'll tell you this. When they put 5 past City, I was like, let me go and see right now how many people on YouTube are going to say, see, I told you we don't need a striker. These people are not even educated on football. Because the way you set up against City and scored this amount of goals, don't forget Spurs scored 4 against them. So if we're really judging this City by any metric, no disrespect to Spurs, they put 4 past them. So if they put 4 past them, anyone should. Okay. I said, let me see how many people who right now are going to use their platform to twerk and say, oh, see, we told you we don't need Havertz. We don't need another striker. We have Havertz. Havertz scored. And guess what? There's people that did that. There's people that said, oh, we all of a sudden we don't need a striker. But guess what? You're not going to face an aging midfield like City every week. There will be these games again. Actually, that just reminded me. Fucking Terry was sitting here. Wallah, I didn't even do this on purpose. This guy was sitting here saying, oh, Havertz has been a good signing. Now, let me just say this, Terry. I saw that, and I think it was, what's his name? Ashraf. Shout out Ashraf. He was telling you, no, don't gaslight us, but I understood where he was coming from. When you look at it, Havertz does have 15 goals this season. That is a good return. That is not a good return when he's the best, when he's the highest paid player in your club.
Can I address that very quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting because I thought about it. I was talking to Ash after the show, and I said to Ash I would do this publicly because I try my best to do this. I concede to what he said. I am wrong, and I want to change what I've said because actually my logic wasn't sound. He's been a bad signing because he was signed as a midfielder and he's the highest paid player at the club, or one of the highest paid players. So I don't think he's been a good signing. But what he is a good second striker in terms of the amount of goals that he scores from I think he's scored something since he moved to the striker role February last year. I think he scores a goal every other game. That's a good return. And that is more what I meant. So actually my phrasing of what I said was wrong. However, I've said all along they need a better number 9 than him. So just because he scores a goal, he should be congratulated. But the idea that you don't need better because he wins a game here or wins a game there is wrong. So yeah, I do concede that Ash was right. He's not been a good signing. What he is a good second striker who should be getting, he would be a good, if they had Isak ahead of him, Yulkades ahead of him, Osimhen ahead of him, he'd be a really good player that when you play at home, the bottom 6 or 7 in the league, he can start those games, good at coming off the bench if you're already winning. That's where I think he could do a good job. But I totally concede. And do you know what it is? I never thought about his salary when I was saying it. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I don't know everything about their club. So I will concede on that one. My statement was wrong.
He had much higher expectations, Terry. That's why.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that completely. So yeah, no, I agree. And it was only after me and Ash were talking, and I was thinking about it. I was like, no, do you know what? I was explaining myself, but I was explaining myself poorly because I just look at it as he's a good player. And I think that sometimes we do this as fans, that Man United have had loads of players that have been at McTominay and Lingard's level in my lifetime. Loads. Jasper Blomqvist, Wes Brown, etc. But when there was loads of players that were better than them, we didn't care that they were just good.
Yeah.
But when suddenly you've got a very small amount of players that are much better than them and you're a bad team, you kind of, it makes you more angry at those players, if that makes sense. And Arsenal really, by now, in my view, if they'd have in this summer just gone out and bought an absolute bagsman up front, even though we're still on 270 a week at Arsenal, there'd be less hate and less anger towards Kai Havertz because they'd be scoring more goals. And I think that's sometimes where we as fans, they're not wrong to be frustrated at him, but actually is targeting Kai Havertz after every game or overpraising him after every game actually going to help fix your club? I don't necessarily think it does anymore.
Yeah, as a gooner, right? These gooners, right? They understand how the Cronkies are, bro. The Cronkies have got money to spend, but they're very reserved, right? We know they've always had this self-sustainable model. So if you're looking at your manager, looking at Kai Havertz, who's been a shocking signing at 3 years at Chelsea, right? To the point where Chelsea fans are laughing that you've gone in to sign him for 65 million. You're going to be angry because you're like, bro, these men don't even give money like that, and then you're going to go spend your money on my man.
No, I hear that.
I understand the frustration because even from day one, I said, bro, like Havertz, for me, I actually thought Mount would do better than Havertz, which I was wrong about. And I've said many times I was wrong about that, right? I thought Mount would be a better signing for United than Havertz. But I did say Havertz ain't a shit player, but he just needs to be in a better team that's got a little bit more of a system with better players and he can work, right? He'll do better than what he's done at Chelsea because Chelsea's been a bit of a mess, right? But I did say he's not going to take you to the next level that you need to get to, especially in midfield. So at that time, That was the wrong signing to make.
You see those actors are always, they're in loads of movies and you recognize their face. You don't know their names. They're never the lead role, but they're always good. They're always like the second in command to the president in like those action movies. Yeah. Right? They play that role, and you recognize them. You recognize them in the street, but they're never the lead guy. I think that's Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is not the mate. He's not the lead man in an attack, and I think that's something that would help. But back to your point, though, Staffy, I do get where you're coming from in terms of the polarized different reactions each week. And I'm even not frustrated. Like some people that are always positive, fair enough. The people that are always negative, if we want to use those phrases, they would both actually don't like those phrases. They say, I'm not positive, I'm just right. The negative people say, I'm not negative, I'm just right. But it is the people in the middle, as you say, that fluctuate each week in a different direction. I'm a bit like you. I do find it a little bit confusing, to be honest with you, and frustrating to listen to sometimes, because I don't know how you can go from one extreme to the other so quickly. And so, what have you built me? I'm showing me. Let me see this. You built this? Yeah. Oh, the bottom fell off. Thank you. That's very good. There you go. Oh, very good. Do you want me to show everyone? He built this for me. He'll come in to show me his little construction. There you go, Jackson. Right, you go out for me and I'll be out soon, all right? Love you, baby. All right.
You go, Jackson.
Can you close the door for me, though, son? Thank you. Otherwise, the dog comes in and he starts jumping all over me. It's frustrating. There's a few.
That's a proper Jackson, Don. That's a proper, not that you're fraud Jackson. That's a serious Jackson. Look what you did.
Yeah, you fucking love Jackson at your club. Trust me.
He wouldn't miss them chances.
Yeah, you're getting Rasmus. You're getting Rasmus, Lawless. You're getting Rasmus, bruv. Rasmus.
This Lawless guy is actually so shameless, Staffy. The way he was talking about Rasmus earlier, talking about, oh well, yeah, we saw this with Wan-Bissaka, you know, United and that, and but everyone knew Wan-Bissaka as a Premier League footballer, though. When you watch Rasmus, bro, do you see a Premier League footballer there, bro?
I feel like we need KJ here because he agreed with me. KJ was on my side.
No, KJ's back. Listen, let KJ do some admin right now and just take it in what we're saying. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you right now. Yeah. You were trying to do copium in the group earlier about signing Rasmus. Bro, you're better off with Evan Ferguson. You better pray that Evan Ferguson pops off so you can buy him because he's clear of Rasmus Højlund, bro. Clear.
I tried to tell you like so many times in that group chat. If Evan Ferguson pops off, we're not buying him because Brighton are just going to price us out of a move anyway. Like so,
is there an obligation to buy or an option to buy?
No, we ain't. It's a straight loan. It's a straight loan.
No, but there's no.
There's no option
that you can get him for a certain fee, right?
Yeah, no clauses, no obligations, no options. So, in my opinion,
I mean, probably your club doesn't even see him as a long term.
Yeah, I think
Graham Potter wasn't even using him when he was at Brighton, right?
He was injured, Staffy.
Well, he was super young, to be fair. Either way, I don't think
the other one, De Zerbi. One of them two didn't really like him like that.
Nah,
I mean, Potter was the one who brought him through.
He was getting price tags of 100 million labeled on him. We spoke about this last week, Lawless.
Yeah. They were talking about 100 mils, and then obviously his injury record has been horrendous. So either way, my opinion, Evan Ferguson won't be a West Ham player next season. So it's not like, oh, we're going to get Ferguson and Højlund, right? What I'm saying to you is, I think a lot of the problems that you have with Højlund, Don, are coachable. They're coachable, right? So
really.
I think they are.
Staffy, this guy thinks he can just coach his movement, all of a sudden, and just teach him how to move.
You know what it is, Don? Because it's not even Lawless. It's just like a lot of people do that. I think they forget that usually a player at 21, 22, their attributes have already developed. And here's the difference: you can players in that young age, good managers coach them how to play in a system. They don't coach them attributes that are pretty much uncoachable. Like this is why in scouting reports, they look at 14, 15, 16-year-olds and they say, what are their attributes? What do they do? Because it's more of a natural thing that you're born with. The minute you start playing football, like if I put you on a football pitch right now, the way your brain operates and it thinks, I can't change about that. You know, some of the physical attributes I'm going to put that to the side. But if you're someone who likes to be patient on the ball, if you're someone who's a little bit erratic, that likes to play a little bit quicker, these are little things that managers don't really coach. People look at Rasmus and they think he's made out of like clay. and they're just going to form it into something that he wants, and a manager wants him to be, because he's 21, 22. At this point, you can't really coach. You can never coach attributes in a player anyways. Like, that's what I always say. He's just who he is.
I don't think that's an attribute, Staffy.
So what's not an attribute? Flawless.
Right. Say for example, something like being able to taking the ball on the turn, right? Receiving the ball, turn, run, right? That's something that you coach. If you're drilling that week in, week out in training, boom, 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 you're going to start to get the muscle memory. You're going to start to get that.
If that's not your first start, Lawless, it's very hard for me to coach that to you, because, as you said, it's muscle memory. Some of the things that you do on the football pitch is your first instinct. There's players that the minute they see the ball coming, you know what they think? I want to run at my defender as soon as I get the ball.
You know,
there's another player that's like, he knows the minute I get the ball, I know where I want to pass it. These are certain things you can't coach.
Yes, right. I understand where you're coming from. There is an instinct thing there, but you can teach new things in sport. I guess someone who, I was in kickboxing gyms and karate clubs my whole life. And there are things that weren't instinctual to me when I first started being coached that still are now. Like, I'm the kind of person, if I'm walking down like the hall, my brother jumps out to scare me, my first reaction is I step back, my arm's going away where I'm gonna hit him. And that's because of thousands of hours of self-defense work and things that you do, right? Lawless does BJJ. Now, I bet you started doing that as an adult. I bet there are things you do now instinctually if you're grappling with someone that you wouldn't have done 5 years ago before you started doing it. So I do think you can work on it, but there are still natural limitations. Doesn't matter how many lessons Lawless does in BJJ, he's probably never going to beat Hamzat Chimaev at the sport. So I do think there's limitations, but you can make him better. And if you look at Rasmus, go look at the clips when he first joined. He was better than he is now. So why has he got worse? And I think some of that is to do with the pressure of being at United. He obviously knows he's failing, and I think it's making him worse. But listen, if West Ham want to give us £40 million for him, I'm well happy with that.
I think Terry, we forget where Lawless is in the food chain at times. Yeah, maybe let Rasmus go over there, get a little, get a little bit of development.
We're similar to Man United. We're around Man United in the table in the.
You are.
No, right now you are. True.
I'm not working for Højlund yet. Listen, I'm not saying like he's my first choice. What I'm saying is, I'm not against it. I'm open to the idea of Højlund if Potter identifies him and really wants him and sees him as part of the plans of, okay, he can fit how we want to play. I see the attribute. Obviously, we've got this new data-driven model we're trying to do, like Brighton style. If all of that lines up and it says Højlund is the guy, then I'm going with it, right? I'm going with it, and I think we can improve him. And like I said, exactly like what Terry said, there's a saying in BJJ, drillers make killers, yeah? You do something over and over and over and over again, it becomes instinctive.
So what you're saying is you're trusting your recruitment team that have got failure of how many strikers have
that's a different team. What do you mean?
In fairness, they've just changed their team, West Ham.
You changed it. You took the guy from Chelsea, didn't you? Yeah.
And you love your recruitment at your club, bro.
Yeah,
every day. You praise it done.
We've never been linked to Rasmus, bro. We've never been linked to Rasmus. All I'm saying is,
you're the guy hang on, Don. The squad that this man has built at your club, you say is better than Arsenal. It's only the manager that's held you back. So you can't be having a pop at him.
No, listen, I forgot that they took this guy. So I've said to West Ham fans, I said, bro, you're lucky that you've got this guy from Brighton and Potter that should hopefully help your recruitment, because Lawless will tell you, bro, like over the years, the past 10, 15 years, the strikers that West Ham have signed, bro, have been shocking. Yeah. The last gunman strikers I remember at West Ham was Dean Ashton, who would have been unbelievable if he didn't get injured for England. Yeah, that guy was mad. And Carlton Cole. After that,
put some respect on Diafra Sacco. Yeah,
Diafra Sacco. He was all right. Yeah. He was all right, to be fair. And obviously Antonio recently. But other than that, bro, you've had flop after flop.
And out of it.
You've had flop. Even Valencia didn't really do that well, did he?
I get that.
No, he had a little. Yeah, he didn't do in the end. He had a nice little partnership with Sacco.
I want to ask about Tell, but before that, did you all watch the Spurs Liverpool game last night?
Yeah,
I watched bits of it.
What did you make? What did you make of Tottenham? Because I would say the general consensus from their fans yesterday was we were pathetic, didn't try to win. I know you're all rivals. We're all rivals, but would you agree that they were pathetic last night, or is it just Liverpool too good?
Bro, what it is, yeah, like I said this to Jules earlier, bro, yeah. What it is with Spurs, we know if you go to Anfield, whatever team you are, it's gonna be a hard game, bro. Especially if it's like a cup game and you've got the crowd up for it, right? It's always gonna be tough. But what made it tougher for Spurs, Terry, is how they set up, because they had no striker. If you look at the game, every single time the ball was going up to Richarlison, it was getting to the midfielders. They were losing the ball. They weren't able to hold it up. Liverpool just squeezing them up even more. You had Son that was playing on the left, offering no width on that side. Kulu on the right when he's better centrally. So their attack was basically dead. 80% of the game was played in Spurs' half, right? And initially they were holding it up. They were defending quite well. But it was that second goal, Terry. After that second goal that they scored where Hinsky gave away the penalty, for that, it was the equivalent of Disasi when he gave the ball away against Ipswich. The game was done. Do you get it? So for me, I'm looking more at the fact that Spurs didn't have a striker. Their attack was shit all game, and that literally played into Liverpool's hands. It took me back to when Arsenal played PSG. If you remember in the Champions League, PSG had a similar sort of problem. They had no striker up top, which meant Gabriel and Saliba. They had a field day, bro. They were just pushing up and just squeezing PSG up every single time because they had no outlet up there. You know what I mean? So when I'm seeing people blaming Ange and that for the result, I'm looking more at the personnel. The main thing I'll look at Ange for is bringing Tell on up top, because he should have never been playing up top, bro. I've spoken to you already. For me, this guy's not a striker. He's a winger. He needs to be playing on the left.
Yeah,
so
he's an inside forward. I feel by looking at him, he's sort of Martial-esque. Plays on the left of. I mean, Martial could play number 9, but when Martial come to United, I loved him off the left. The way he's driving it, because he's not like a dribbler like a Hazard that can pick it up in the middle and consistently dribble down that wing. But you give him that ball in a sort of close to the left-hand side of that the 18-yard box and let him drive it. He's great at that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And there was a couple of times where he drifted to the left, and I'm looking at him and I'm looking at Son. Him and Son were taking up the same zones because Tell isn't comfortable up top. And that's what I told you the other week, Terry. I said, bro, if we sign this guy, he has to be on the left. Because when I'm watching him up top, it reminds me of Nkuku.
He has no hold-up play. He needs, that's why I called him Baby Rashford, because he does play like how Rashford did when he first burst on the scene. You know, want him picking up the ball closer to the box, not in the box, but closer to the box, where he could just take a touch, dribble past the player, and take a shot on goal.
I agree. Did you see?
Pathetic, though. I mean,
I want to play you though. I want to play you a specific Spurs meltdown that I've only just seen in the group chat come through. Take a look at this.
Fans are out there bantering Arsenal fans. Oh, look, they lost to Newcastle. What do we do the following day? That's embarrassing. Embarrassing. Jesus Christ, mate. Do you know what?
Kicked it the other day, it didn't move. He slammed it. He didn't make a noise.
He didn't make a noise.
He didn't make a noise. Oh,
hey, chair 2, Henery 0. Yeah, that chair's got his number.
Bro, I think yesterday was bigger than Ange. I'll be real. Like, I've criticized him in many games, but I'm sorry, his hands were tied yesterday, bro. No Solanke up there. You're finished. You're finished.
Don't just like no, so he just like what? He just glitched. He acted like there was no video. You didn't play a video. You played the video. He's like, I think Andrew's hands were tied. Like, just
bro, I hear it. No, but listen, I've been seeing Henery every week. I see him shouting on my timeline, so I'm used to it now. I will see this.
Let me just say this before we continue. I will not take any of Henry's rants any serious until I see that chair broken. Once you break that chair, I'll stop listening.
He needs to hit the gym a bit.
Oh, yeah, this is the message here. This is the message here to No Context Fan TV on Twitter. We're putting the gauntlet down. I'm going to put it that if he breaks that chair, if he can break the chair with one kick or one slam, Henery, I'll donate £500 to charity. I'm laying the goal. I don't think he has the strength in his legs or his arms to break that chair with one kick or with one slam. He should have weakened it with a single kick and a slam already, but £500 bet. I bet he can't do it.
He should be banned from making content until he shows us that chair is broken. He should be banned. We need to see a picture of that chair broken Until then, he's not allowed to make videos.
No, he's
throwing it on fucking clouds and cushions. What's going on the bottom of that floor?
No,
but he has to record it because he could just go and get his missus to break it, and that's not fair. Like he's got to record himself doing it.
But we also need to see beforehand he hasn't weakened the chair. He hasn't started unscrewing bolts and stuff. We need a full check and test on that chair beforehand.
If Tottenham sack Ange, yeah,
he's done it again. He just got.
I'm taking you lot in. I'm listening, yeah. But if they sack Ange, we not saying about a little cheeky McKenna to Spurs.
Don't do that to McKenna, man.
He is from Spurs, so it'd be good for him.
Yeah,
he's gonna get relegated, so that's gonna be a jump up for him. Iriola's going back.
He kind of deserves a Premier League job, whether people like it or not. I've heard a lot of slander on his name. He's not gonna do well with this team because this team is well under equipped for the Premier League. But his idea of playing football and the tactics that he applied, they would be good for the Premier League. But let's just be honest, they have more money than Ipswich, but they're not really going to invest in a footballing project. Spurs don't give a fuck about football, bro. When are we going to accept that? Like, Spurs just don't give a fuck about football, bro. You had a manager that came out and said, "Oh, I win stuff in my second year." And to be fair, he did have injuries yesterday, but honestly, bro, what was that squad ever going to do against anyone in the semifinal, bro? And this is a League Cup semifinal. The way these players shit the bed yesterday, and the way they looked terrified from that Liverpool team in a League Cup game, bro. This is why I don't take these guys seriously in the Europa League. As bad as we are, I know the minute we match up with them in the Europa League, that's an easy dub. Because these guys just shit the bed, bro, every time there's something on the line. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I don't even understand about that. Shout out Kate. I watched the match reaction yesterday. Kate was the only one that was like, yeah, okay. She's disappointed, but like she's smiling.
Staffy, don't you think then what you're saying there adds credibility to what Sam said about the Man City Arsenal thing? Because
no.
Again, the same way Spurs.
Don't put them in the same bracket, please.
I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but they're similar in terms of Arsenal in the Champions League and Spurs in any competition. They always find a way.
Arsenal didn't win the Champions League last season, not because they shit the bed, just because I think their manager got it wrong. That's what it was.
Yeah, well, he shit the bed, didn't he?
They didn't lose 4-0 anyways.
Yeah, I don't want to.
There's a difference, though, Lawless.
I don't want to defend Arsenal, but we've seen them. We have seen them in our lifetimes clinch Premier Leagues, come from behind in title races. If we're talking about the historic mentality of a club, we've seen them come from behind to beat Man United, unfortunately, the titles. We've seen them win titles at big grounds. We've seen them win FA Cup finals. I get your point. In Europe, they've had these issues. That absolutely stands up. But Tottenham don't just have these issues in Europe. They have the issue in the League Cup. They have the issue in the FA Cup. They have the issue in the league. I still think it's... You got to remember, the Leicesters of this world have gone on FA Cup runs and league title runs and won things. What Spurs go through when the big games come, I don't think there is a comparable club in the Premier League. I think they're out by themselves, genuinely out by themselves. Because, look, I know that it's fun to banter certain clubs, but at the end of the day, I've seen Portsmouth get to big semi-finals and finals and win. I've seen Swansea knock out big teams, get to a final and win. Spurs are by themselves. Every single time for nearly the last 20 years, it's been crazy bad. It's been such a long... In every tournament, all the time, I just think they should be out by themselves in that category, to be fair.
Listen, Tottenham are the LA Clippers of the NBA. They have rich owners. They have the best stadium. They have all this money. They're in a big city. They're in London, and the Clippers are in LA. The minute, bro, the Clippers hit playoffs, it doesn't matter who's on their team. They always shit the bed. That's what Tottenham are, bro. That's why no one takes the Clippers seriously. When you look at the LA, when you think of basketball, everyone knows the Lakers are heritage. No one looks at London and says, "Oh, Spurs are serious." They're not, bro. Just keep making money. Go to a nice stadium, get your beer, get your food, nice hospitality, all that stuff. Elegant club, elegant stadium. And that's it, bro. Don't think about winning trophies. Stop wasting your time. I don't want to see no more rants from any of them. Any Spurs fan that's going to rant, I'm going to unfollow them. Stop it. That's not who you are. I'm going to unfollow them, bro. Don't waste my time, bro. You've never been that guy. Don't hold yourself to standards you never had anyways.
Someone put that in the chat, though, that they slapped you up, though. Spurs have slapped you up.
Bro, I can be the shittiest club in the world and I'll still leave with a trophy.
Hey, these lot, I just need to. You lot are weasels, These lot are weasels. We didn't even fucking preview your game. Yeah? Come on. Okay. What's going to happen today then, Terry? Tell us.
Oh, bro, hold on. We're playing Leicester, bro. I swear to God, I can't wait for Rude to get slapped up, bro. I swear I cannot wait.
So what? You're gonna beat them then, yeah?
What?
What's wrong with Rude? Why are you angry at Rude?
Against Rude.
I'm
What's
not angry
Rude
at
done?
Rude. I'm angry at the glazing that this guy gets. I'm hearing people saying, "Oh, but we should have kept him. Why
He's
did
one of
we
your
hire
best ever
everyone?
managers.
We won 3 and 4 under Rude." The difference between Rude and Ten Hag was the accent and the grammar. The guy just has better grammar than him, and he's probably better looking than him. So that's it. You know, no disrespect.
You're gonna beat them then. You're gonna beat them then, Staffy.
Old people, but that's really what it is.
We'll win tonight. We'll win tonight.
There's
win,
nothing
yeah.
about Rude that screams Premier League manager to me. I'll be honest with you. This guy probably should have walked when they didn't even get on signings in January. How many wins is
Listen
it?
this up, because if you lose tonight, mate, this will be juicy. This will be beautiful.
You know what it is, yeah? Lawless,
Bro, it's fine if we lose, we lose. It won't change the fact that Ruben is superior to Rude. And this is what the issue with the fan base is.
He is Ruben Amorim's strongest soldier. Yeah, he's
It's not that, bro. It's just like I understand the deficiencies that we have right now.
He's scratching it on his club legend for Ruben. I'm
not shitting guys on him as a player.
You're a Judas for that, bro. Ruben, hey,
no, hold on. I'm not shitting on him as a player, bro. He's a legend.
Hang on, that's bullshit. Because you the way you spoke about Frank Lampard, bro. Hush him out, bro. Hush him out.
Yeah. Don't do that. I see how you guys spoke about Lampard.
You don't be shameless.
Bro, but here's the thing, Don. This guy lost 6 in a row, and I saw United fans saying, "Oh, we should have never sacked Rude." 6 in a row.
That's crazy talk.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying. There's too many imbeciles in my fan base, and I'm tired of it. So I want him today to go to that stadium and see Rude, who's a club legend. And by the way, Rude was the first striker I fell in love with when I watched United. So as a player, I'll have a different conversation about him. But as a manager, I swear today, if we could put 4, 5, 6 past them, I'll celebrate just because I want to see Rude get relegated at the end of the season with Leicester, even though today's not even the league. I just want to see this team relegated because I'm tired of the glazing this guy gets.
That many past them. It should be comfortable. Like this Leicester team has been awful.
We already beat them 2 times this season. We played them in the League Cup.
That was with Rude, though. That was with Rude. That's the irony of it. Although both were Rude.
One of them was with Rude. One of them was without him.
Oh yeah,
who did they beat in the league?
Or did we play him twice with Rude? Actually, funny enough,
they were both with Rude.
He did play both of them with Rude.
That's why
they beat Spurs.
I actually think, like, honestly, like, I love Rude to bits as a player. I actually think those 2 heavy defeats is why Leicester went for him as a manager. And
I swear, because they got 2 games of him in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, fair play to him because he's bagged himself a few million quid, like whether he gets relegated or not, just off of that game. But no, I really don't like the questioning that Amorim keeps getting. I love the way he shut things down today, where he said, "Look, stop asking me about Rashford. He's now in Birmingham. Go ask them." And I think this must be about the 10th time in 3 months he's been questioned about Ruud van Nistelrooy and why didn't he keep him at the club. And I like a lot of Amorim's responses, but I do feel like he should just say now, I want him to go a little bit Fergie and say to his press office, anybody asks me those questions, they're banned. Because he has answered them on multiple occasions as to why he got rid of him. And it's almost like now you want to just be banning those media outlets or banning those journalists because we all know the answers. He's answered all these questions before, asking them again and again and again and again and again. If, for instance, Rashford scores 20 goals between now and the end of the season, I get him being questioned about it again because, well, could you have done with those goals as an example? But on the Ruud situation, he's already said it. Ruud wants to be a manager. I didn't want to have him low down the pecking order in my coaching staff because I think he's worth more than that. He's a club legend. So we decided to part ways. It's not even disrespectful. I actually think it's a respectful thing to say to somebody. And yeah, the media, just as I say, whenever Man United lose a game, the next 4, 5, 6 days are a hell in terms of the media coverage. If we win one, and hopefully win tonight, at least there'll be 4 or 5 days of absolute silence where they don't really focus upon us as an example. But yeah, he's got to learn. But I think we win tonight. Yeah. I think we score 3 or 4 goals as well.
I agree. I agree that with what he's been saying, I think his answers have been spot on about the Rashford thing. And I understand why he's getting frustrated. But if he thinks that now Rashford's gone to Aston Villa, they're going to stop. Every week he scores a goal, they're going to ask him, like, it was got one game. Obviously, right?
That's why he's got to ban him. That's why he's got to ban those. He's got to go old school Fergie and ban those journalists because that's the only way. It's just it becomes. Listen, it's not about football. They don't want an answer from him about football. They're trying to create controversy and headlines. And I mean, the amount of stuff I've seen, like even fans go, I can't believe he said this. And then I've gone, oh shit, that sounds bad. And then I've listened to it and it's like, oh, that, like the thing about putting his goalkeeping coach on the pitch. He was talking about Rashford. And then he said, look, I've told you all this before. If any player at this club isn't working hard enough or not following the instructions, I'd rather put my goalkeeping coach on the bench than them. So the example about the goalkeeping coach was labeled towards everyone, but they conveniently ignored that. And that's why I want him to start ignoring the press, because they are twisting everything he's saying. I'd ban him.
I don't know if you see the Graham Potter one we had. I think it was about Rashford, but one week the same journalist asked, I think it was about how would you think about going for Rashford? He said, I'm not going to talk about a player that isn't a West Ham player. And in the next week, he's asked, I told you last week, like literally, you asking me the same question.
What they want,
they did the same thing with what's his name, Marco Silva. I was watching his press, and they were asking, "What do you think about the situation?" Because he's Portuguese as well. He's like, "What do you think about the situation going on between Rashford and Emery?" And he was like, and I thought he felt disrespected. He was like, "I'm the Fulham manager. This is a Fulham press conference. Yet you're asking me for an opinion on something that's going on in another club that I have like no idea about." He's like, keep the questions towards my team. And then they ask them again. And I'm like, bro, I understand why everyone's frustrated. It's annoying. No one, like even journalism has become lazy. It's not about getting honest questions about something that you think people want to know. It's about getting the headline. If I could get the first headline of Ruben Amorim disrespecting Rashford or disrespecting something else, and it could create a headline out of it, then there you go. They don't even want to sit there and actually talk about, oh, what are you going to do for the game? How are you going to approach the game? What happens if you win? What happens if you loses? Everything's just been, it's all about just creating controversy and getting the first headline and getting the most clicks out of something that the manager says at the press conference. It's jarring, bro. And this is why when Don says, I'm just defending Rude and I'm a soldier or whatever, it's because I feel for the guy, bro. The guy just wants to work and everyone's trying to do anything but work. And this is why when Terry says just ban these journalists, honestly, just fucking do that, bro.
They also they never ask questions that we as fans actually want. Does that make sense?
I want to know if Dorgu's gonna play or not. I don't give a fuck about Rashford going to Villa. I want to know, is Dorgu gonna play on the right or on the left? Are you gonna go with Dallo now on the right, or is it gonna be Mazraoui? Ask me some questions that as a football fan I want to learn. People don't want to do that, bro. Journalists are tapped. YouTubers are tapped. Everything is tapped right now.
They're out of touch though, because you see them when in that thing with I don't know if you know that guy, the Moose from Talksport. He claims to be a West Ham fan. He wanted Tottenham to win the Champions League. But he said when he's asking him about players, and he's saying, "Listen, like they're not a West Ham player." Blah blah blah. He goes, "Well, you know, fans want you to talk about what you're doing in the transfer window and what players you're trying to sign, what you're doing." And I'm like, this guy ain't got a clue. Like, no fan wants their manager to come out and reveal our hand and say, yeah, we're trying to sign Ferguson. Absolutely. We're trying to get this deal over the line. Like, they're so out of touch with actual fans. All they care about is they want their little headline. No fan wants to see a manager talk about all our business in public like that. No, just go get it done.
I agree. Speaking of tapped, Jamie here says 4 goals. Clip that, KG. I said 3 or 4 goals is what I said. So that you conveniently left out the 3 part. So later tonight, if we score 3, if you, Jamie, go, you said 4 goals, Terry, you're acting like a Sun journalist. You'll be banned. You'll be banned for that.
Okay, but if you score 2, he's in the clear. He's in the
clear. He can banter me if we only score 2. But if we score 2 and we win, he's bantering me. He's a United fan. I don't care. But Jamie knows I'm only joking. This here from Mohammed says he says here, Terry, I turned 24 last week. I've never seen my team win a major at this point. I don't care who's in charge, but you can't be 24 and not seen a major. You must have seen 3 or 4 FA Cups. That is a major tournament, my friend. Again, I'll be honest with you, bro. I consider the FA Cup a major tournament. So if this sit in your world where you don't for a moment, though, he says, but Mikel needs to win. He's had all this time and money. Put his record in the knockout tournaments is awful. Listen, his record in the FA Cup and the League Cup since he's won it It is very. I didn't realize how many early rounds in the FA Cup he's gone out in. That I totally agree with.
I think maybe the FA Cup isn't a major to a 24-year-old. Like, it hasn't got the same prestige and the same value. It's not been treated the same.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I can understand that. Like, for me, it's beautiful. Like, oh, Orient getting to play City tomorrow. Please, God, give me what I want. Nothing about City, by the way. It's not beating City in itself. The dream. This week we had the Luka Doncic trade. I don't know who that is. By the way, I've seen this trade thing trending everywhere. I don't know anything about it. In the NBA, there has been football transfers like that, and we need transfers to be like that, where no one knows about it, and when it happens, you think, is it real?
Isn't this the guy that's just been traded multiple times in one window or something? Isn't he the guy that got traded to multiple teams in the same
Dennis Schroeder,
window?
But no one cares about him. He's ass. He actually said, it's funny. He said that NBA players getting traded is like modern day slavery, and he got traded to 4 teams in 24 hours.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I see that.
And it's never happened to anyone else. They just shifted him 4 times.
Modern day slavery, being paid millions of pounds a year. Like, I'm not
gonna lie, I wanted to say that, but I was like, I don't want people to misunderstand it. But if you want to consider me a modern day slave, but pay me millions, call me what you want. I'll do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll be a millionaire for that.
Ola here says trouble with Arsenal is down to mentality. It's not elite. The over celebrating on certain victories only for them to lose the next game. See, I don't think Arsenal, the players, over celebrated. If you actually watch the footage after the game against City, I wouldn't say that was over celebrating. It was, but the club's allowed to banter, the fans are allowed to have fun. The same as the Newcastle fans and the players.
Yeah, why did no one else call Newcastle out for over celebrating? Because they all took digs and said, "Oh, we're staying humble. We're staying humble." Why
did they have "Stay Humble" on the back of a Newcastle shirt?
No, but they also did the same thing.
Hang on. They had a fan, and by the way, I thought this was hilarious. They had a fan who left the pub after the game, sat on the opposite side of the road. He did the Haaland celebration. So he was doing a Haaland celebration outside a pub in the middle of the street, mocking Lewis Skelly, mocking Haaland. And for me, that's fine. But I was sitting there thinking, like, all fan bases have got a cringy element to them. And I think we all look at a rival celebrating or a team that we don't like celebrating, and we all go cringe. The same as, how many times have you heard a great chant that your club has? You're like, I love that. And then you'll see a rival fan base online going, that is the shittest chant ever. It's just normal. I think we just got to accept it, man. We really, really do.
It's. I'm not gonna lie. It's people hyper focusing on Arsenal. And trust me, Arsenal they deserve to get slander for a lot of things. But let's just be honest. That first game when Haaland threw the ball in Gabriel's head, and then he told Martin Lewis Skelly, "Who the fuck are you?" And then he went to the manager and told him, "Stay humble." And then he called Jesus a clown. All that happened, and you think when I scored 5 against you, I'm not doing more than what you did. This how I know, by the way, some of these people
do you think though that they've got their revenge? Because I don't. Like, you're saying that I'm doing more. Like, you're talking to a Premier League winner, a treble winner, Champions League, and you scored 5 past me.
But it's you think it happens in every sport. You think I'm only going to talk about
that? They won the battle, but they're not going to win the war. That's what
they didn't win the war.
Lawless. This is why I'm going to call you out, though. I've seen West Ham come to Old Trafford and win on a couple of occasions. And every time you did, I was there for 2 of them. Every single time you've done it, your fans in the stadium, afterwards around the pubs, on the way home. I was living in Manchester for the first one, so I didn't see him on the way home. You man celebrate to within an inch of your life, and you have a Mardi Gras afterwards. And do you know what? Fair play to you. And that was when Man United were at our pomp, right? And you still do it now. And you'll have been one of those West Ham fans. Oh my God, we beat Man United today. This is that. So every fan base does this when they beat a big rival or a massive team. I don't think it's wrong.
But then let's put that to what you're saying. You're right, yeah. Because listen, we was the underdogs. You were much bigger team to us. The difference between you and us was massive. So are we acknowledging that the difference in 2025?
No. That's not what I'm stating. I'm talking about the fact that whether the distance is close, when it's close, there is sometimes you get an even bigger and deeper rivalry. Because there's always been a little bit of a rivalry between Man United and West Ham. Like, I've been to away games. It's hostile between the two clubs. That hostility would increase further if we became title challengers for a 2 or 3 year period against one another. And then the animosity between fans and players, when you win in that moment, you celebrate in that moment. You celebrate.
I'm not saying don't celebrate.
I think we're going so far over the top with this. Every fan base, no matter how big or small, no matter where you are in the league at that point, you should be able to celebrate those moments. And by the way, if Arsenal were having a terrible season and there was no needle with City, and what happened earlier on in the campaign hadn't have happened, and then they sort of did those things, maybe there's an argument. But you put everything into context. I don't think anyone in the moment looks at what Lewis Skelly did and thought, that's crazy. I feel it's been the meat because Carragher after the game said nothing. 4 days later on a podcast, he's slamming him. I don't think Carragher says that if there wasn't this crazy backlash the day after against it.
Do you know what it is, Terry? What Skelly did, listen, I love that side of the game. But when you're doing that, be ready to have a target on your back. That's the thing, Be ready to have a target from your back, not even from the media specifically. I'm talking about other players. Because even the other day, Trippier was basically telling you, looking at him like, bro, you're a kid, like, relax, like, calm down. Like, you've only just started to break through. I love his mentality and that, but if he carries on doing things like that, shithousing and that, he is gonna have a target on his back from other players, bro, and even rival fans as well.
And that's fair enough. Like, I think that, again, I remember Wayne Rooney at 19, 18 years old scoring a goal away at Anfield. Away at Anfield, cupping this to the cop like this as an example. I want to see that from football players. I don't care if they're 18 or 38. I want to see more of this. We've become too sanitized football. I personally love it. Viewers, let us know what you think and what you feel.
I'm just saying, let's have some perspective. I'm saying celebrate all you want, but I'm saying let's have some
celebrate all you want. Celebrate all you want, unless we're Arsenal, yeah.
But before we have perspective. What Staffy was saying is, I'm celebrating more than you if we beat you. It's like
I put 5 past you.
I'm not saying don't celebrate, but let's have some.
I've had your number for 2 years now.
Arsenal haven't got one over, like got revenge on City or whatever. It's still the most one-sided rivalry in football because Man City have the trophy.
So now it's a rivalry, but City fans said it's not a rivalry.
No, but I'm saying but this is what Terry said. It's a rivalry because they're close.
The thing is, I don't think it's you're playing them in individual games, and individual games you were going to celebrate. I don't think Arsenal should hold back from celebrating a big win against City until we've won more league titles. Okay, we've got to get the 3 league titles because they beat us in 2 races.
No, then I say celebrate. But they haven't. What I'm saying is they haven't humbled Man City.
But they did in that moment. They did in that moment. In that moment, and they're not celebrating about it today. They're not. I don't think Lewis Skelly is going to. I don't think Lewis Skelly scores a goal next week in the Prem and he does that celebration again. It's done with now. It's isolated to that game.
I think the Lewis Skelly. Listen, shithousery in football. You will get you get like the Neil Mopay and people like that you do become one of them hated players that your fan base loves, and he could be one of them. Good luck to him.
And by the way, I don't think the humble thing's over because if City then beat them in the next game, I think this humble thing between City and Arsenal is going to be around for many, many, many years. It ain't going away because it's one game, and they'll both get moments in the next 4, 5, 6 years. Especially, I think it will while Haaland's here and whilst both managers are here. I think it will stay, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
None of them Arsenal players will win anywhere near what Haaland's already won in his career. Let alone what he's going to go on.
But that's irrelevant. But that's irrelevant then, because I've seen, again, based on that logic, I've seen West Ham fans, players, everybody banter Man United for 20 every time you've beaten us. You jeered at us when you stopped us winning the league title. Why were you allowed to do that?
No, I'm not saying they're not allowed to do it, but what I'm saying is when we look at that result.
But why even say that then, Lawless? Why even bring up Haaland won? Because your fans have done that forever. You literally mock Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea regularly. They're all more successful than you.
Well, listen, Spurs in my lifetime haven't been more. They've been equally.
But the club they've won more than you. But you'll still banter them on any given time you can, and that's right. Saying, well, what's Haaland won? Because based on that, I don't want to hear any more slander ever from anyone about Ryan Giggs. Until your club's got a player.
Like I said at the beginning.
Let's acknowledge Arsenal are the smaller boys in this. Them one punching.
We know that, but
what's that?
We know that, but it's not going to change the fact that when they put 5 past them after what happened in the first game. Remember how they made fun of them for not attacking them? They're like, "Oh, you parked the bus. We don't respect you." They're like, "All right, I'll show you how I don't park the bus," and they put 5 past them. And they haven't beaten them in 2.5 seasons right now? And you know what's funny, bro? They keep saying,
Lewis, don't stress yourself, bro. Listen, like I said at the beginning of your little rant, you're gonna have a comfortable summer sleeping, knowing that these men ain't winning the league, bro. Right? So they won the bat.
We'll make fun of them for that too.
They're not gonna win the war.
Yeah, and
they won one game.
By the way, none of us are in title races, and we'll all banter Arsenal fans for them not winning a title race.
I'm gonna make fun of Arsenal when they don't win the league.
Come on, guys.
Listen,
come on.
Put yourself on a pedestal. You've got to be
exactly
down. Listen,
and
I said we were going to do stuff.
There's no rules to shit housery, bro.
Arsenal will get bantered. Lawless, they'll get bantered if they don't win the league as well. All I'm saying is we can't say to Arsenal, be careful who you banter because you might get bantered. We literally crowned them Banter FC. What are we doing here? Come on.
No, listen, I'm saying they can do it, but it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So if people are trying to take more,
no one said it does. No one said it
does. Hey, you know what's happening to him right now? Kids losing the ball in the first phase like Rice, blood. That's what keeps happening.
Having to stay humble on the back of the jersey is corny. Hey. It is corny, but I did something like that once. I was a lot younger than Julian. I had the season after we won the league when we were up against Rafa Benitez in the title race. I had the word facts and number 19 put on the back of my shirt, 19 league title and facts, because that's what Rafa said. I look back now, I'd never do it again. But at the time, it was funny. And people were like, well, that's
would he have got that out if they lost, though? Would he have showed off his shirt?
No, and why would he? Yeah. If a player has a message on a shirt that's like, when Ian Wright broke the record, and he had the shirt, would he have lifted his shirt up if he didn't score? No. But he did.
He should have, man. Listen.
Come on.
Did he have it for the Newcastle? Where was that shirt against Newcastle, by the way?
But there's no banter between the two of them on that level.
Honestly, you're doing too much right now. This is why Newcastle fans are talking shit to Arsenal, because they haven't beaten them in 2 years. No one is saying put the medals on the trophy, Newcastle. We know Newcastle haven't won shit. That's just this is how sports always been, bro. I've seen LeBron James get dunked on in games and a little by nobody, and that nobody flexes in front of him. I've seen Jason Tatum at 19 years old dunk on LeBron and flex on him. And LeBron had had 3 or 4 rings at that time. What are we doing here? That's just always been a part of sports.
Let me answer Manny's super chat while you're ranting.
He wants to know if he's allowed to celebrate a birthday today or not, Lawless.
It depends on which birthday. If it's not a major milestone birthday, like a 21, a 30, an 18. No, you've got to keep your celebration.
You're telling him how to celebrate life.
Yeah, I mean, Lawless is miserable. Listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. We're going to be live again tonight after Man United versus Leicester. This stream is going to redirect you to that stream. So go over there now and hit the like button. Make sure you bookmark it. Come back and see us then. Big up Don, Lawless, and Staffy. Always a pleasure, gentlemen, to sit and speak football with you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.